Hello and welcome back to the Tea and Soju C-Drama podcast, your safe spot for drama chatter. I'm your host, Liliana, and it's time to sit back, grab your tea, and let's chat Asian dramas. In today's episode, we are not diving into Chinese dramas, but Korean dramas instead. If you've been living under a rock, Lovely Runner is a thing, and I am joined by some very cool guests to review it. But just before we get into that, some housekeeping. If you like the podcast, please like, share, and subscribe on platform you listen to. That really helps the podcast reach other listeners. For more content, check out Patreon, where you can find behind the scenes, first impressions, movie reviews, and more. Finally, if you would like to chat to me or find a community, check out Discord, Instagram, and other socials. The link for my socials and all the other guest socials will be in the episode notes. So, we have a returning guests and some new guests. So, we have Naz, Tanya, and Na. So, Naz, would you like to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Naz. I host the Swoon Diaries podcast. And I'm so excited to be here with you guys to talk about Lovely Runner. This is going to be so fun. Thank you, Liliana, for inviting us.
You're very welcome. I'm very excited to have you guys. Naz has been before. I'm sure you've been on Tea and Soju before.
Yes, we did.
We
Death's
did.
Game.
I'm sure. Yes, we did. We did do Death's Game. I'm sure Naz has been on Tea and Soju before.
And then you came on mine for Perfect Marriage Revenge, which is like one of my most popular episodes. I loved that discussion.
That was so much fun.
It was so fun. I loved it.
We had so much fun during that episode. So, go and check out Naz's podcast. We've guested on each other's all the time. So, Tanya, would you like to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Tanya. And I've been watching Asia dramas since maybe 4 years ago. I love Liliana's podcast, and it's a pleasure to be here talking to you girls.
Thank you. Honestly, I swear to God, whenever I have anybody on and they're like, oh yeah, I listened to your podcast. We were just discussing this and I keep saying, it's honestly, you guys say, oh, I get a little bit starstruck talking to, I'm like, no, I get starstruck talking to you guys because you actually listen. So, thank you so much. And a little aside, which is quite a fun story to how, so Tanya and I were talking for quite a few months before we actually even discovered that we're both from Portugal. Not only that, but we're like 20 minutes away from each other back home, which is wild. So, it was one of those moments where I think you traveled back home and you posted a picture on your Instagram. It's like, oh my gosh, you're very close to where I'm from. Are you visiting? And she's like, no, I'm from here. And that's the moment that everything clicked and we were like, oh my goodness, we've been talking for months and we had no idea about this. So there's a little, fun story about that. And lastly, Na, would you like to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. I am Na. I am the person behind K-Drama Bingo, which is a journal and activity book. And we hang out on Instagram celebrating tropes and what we're watching and all of the fans in the Asian drama fandom that we love. So just like Tanya, I'm a huge fan of both Liliana and Naz. So I'm very excited to be here today.
I'm like I said, thank you guys so much for coming on. I think we're going to have a fun time. But before we get into Lovely Runner, let's just do a quick rundown. And actually, funnily enough, I didn't used to ask this question until I went on Naz's podcast and she does this question with her guests. And I find that I actually quite like listening. So I was like, I think I'm going to borrow that question from Naz and use it. Oh, this happens all the time. My rating, Jess does soju bottles. I was like, Jess, can I borrow your idea and switch it out for teacups instead? And she's like, yeah, sure, go ahead. So it's like,
so cute.
It's always so much fun to get like inspired by other podcasts. I think it's such a good thing that we can have in the community of content creators to just be like, I think everybody's always so welcoming of like, oh yeah, sure, go ahead, use that. Like I love that. So
Absolutely.
what are we currently watching? This episode is actually being recorded on a Friday, and it's going to come out in 4 days' time. So it's going to be pretty current. Doesn't always happen, but for me, the only thing I'm obsessed with right now is a Chinese drama called The Double. It has my whole attention. It's all over social media. Everybody. So, if you don't know what The Double is about, it's a revenge drama. It is a historical Chinese drama at its best. And I'm really, really enjoying it. So there might be a podcast review coming for that. And by might, there will definitely be a podcast review coming for that one. So I won't say much on it, but that is my current obsession. As for Korean dramas, I want to finish up Atypical Family because everybody's been saying how good it wrapped up, so I'm excited. And I just clicked play on My Sweet Mobster. I wasn't going to, but I keep seeing clips of this thing and it just looked like a fun drama. So I'm like, I'm just going to check it out. But I've literally only watched about 20 minutes before I sat down to record. So I don't know about it yet. What about you, Naz? What are you currently watching?
It's so funny that you mentioned The Double because literally like an hour ago, I was actually talking to Ori and our other friend Hill, and they were talking about, there's this C-drama called The Double because my goal this year is to watch one C-drama. Like that's my goal. I just want to watch one. So they're like, it's the craziest first 10 minutes of a drama I've ever seen. They're like, just watch the first 10 minutes. So I watched the first 10 minutes and literally my jaw was on the floor.
Yeah, it is wild.
Like, what is happening here? And I was like, I'm watching this. I was like, I am watching this show. So I will be tuned in. I really struggle with like on-air C-dramas, and that's how I end up just giving up and not finishing anything because I'm like, 4 episodes came out today and it's just like a lot. So like, I'm gonna like not stress myself out and take my time, but like I'm locked in. Like I'm like, I need to see what's gonna happen here. So I'm like already invested.
When I tell you, Naz, the chemistry, the tension between the main couple is some of the best I've seen this year. It is some of the best I've seen this year. Like these two are just so good. And I love the fact that our female lead is one of the strongest mentally like smart, capable female leads. She goes toe to toe with our male lead so well. So a lot happens in those first 10 minutes, but that's like what gets you in a good historical Chinese drama. Is like they hook you with that and then they kind of go on to tell the rest of the story. But when I tell you no episodes are wasted, it's like boom, boom, it is happening constantly. So I'm up to episode 26 right now.
Okay.
And it is still just as good, if not better than the beginning. So I highly recommend it. It's my current obsession right now. That's the one I'm really, really, really loving. I'm so excited that you clicked play on it.
Yes. I'm like, I have to see this through because I'm invested. I'm watching it on Viki, so it's not as far advanced as yours is. I think Viki is like on episode 6 or something. So, but I will be tuning in. So I'm excited for that. I'm also watching Descendants of the Sun. I am so obsessed. Oh my gosh.
God, like, what a classic.
Oh my gosh. Like,
I'm sorry, Naz.
Like, yeah.
Is this your first time?
It's my first time.
Oh.
Yeah. And I am not okay. Like the swoon is like killing me. I was like, I understand why these two fell in love on set. Because the chemistry is chemistrying. I'm obsessed with it. So
good.
So good. I'm on episode 8 now of that. And then I also clicked play on My Sweet Mobster. One of my listeners, SJ, hey girl, she messaged me, was like, okay, you should check out My Sweet Mobster. The first 20 minutes are super cringe, but like once you get past that, it's pretty good. And I was like,
Right.
okay, like I'll trust you. But the trailer really cringed me out. But I'm gonna give it a chance. I'm gonna watch episode 1 and see how I feel. But yeah, we're kind of having a drought right now in K-drama land, so I'm kind of using this opportunity to like watch older stuff. So I totally don't mind watching older dramas. I intend on like watching The King's Affection after I'm done with Descendants of the Sun. So I'm like taking this time because I usually watch ongoing. So I'm like taking this time and just trying to get as many old dramas done as I can. So yeah, but that's me.
Yeah. K-dramas are pretty slow, but to be fair, Chinese dramas are just as slow. But the good thing is Chinese dramas tend to ramp up for the summer because it's the coveted summer slots. And there's quite a few that are on the dot for going out for, the summer slots. So I'm really hoping that at least one or two of the ones that I'm excited about will air. But we shall see. For K-dramas, I am not like as in tune with them as I used to be, but I dip in and out. Like when people start, I listen to your podcast and there's a couple of other podcasts and they'll talk about something. And like there's a couple of people that I really trust when it comes to Korean dramas.
Yeah.
So if they tell me this one's worth checking out, then that's the ones I tend to sort of dip in and out, so to speak. There is one actually that I clicked play on, but it's not available anywhere, and I think it doesn't do justice, the fact that it's not available anywhere. It's the Begin Youth, which is the Korean drama based on the BTS universe. It is available, it's just not available, in a reputable site, let's put it that way. Which is really frustrating because I actually sat down, I was like, do you know what, I've had enough of waiting, I'm just curious, I just want to see the first half an hour, and it sets out a really good story in the first half an hour, and I'm just like, oh damn it, I'm gonna have to like so yeah, I might
bizarre. I think
it's
that's really bizarre
that
they would like it's BTS, right? So like you would think that they would try to market it to like the highest bidder and like not put it on this obscure streaming site that you have to pay for and all this stuff. Like I don't know why that was their approach.
So bizarre.
It's kind of confusing.
It's so bizarre. It truly is. But Tanya, what have you been watching?
So I'm with you with the daily obsession of the double. So now
see what
you're
I mean?
in for a treat. Yeah, I totally second this recommendation.
So
it's
good.
really
It's
a must
so
watch. Yes,
it's so good.
So good. Okay, so I'm also up to date. I think I'm still missing. I need to watch today's episode, but otherwise I'm up to date. No, it's amazing, really. I mean, you will see.
Yeah.
I'm on K-dramas. I'm actually there's not much going on. So I'm watching The Midnight Romance in Hagwon. This, this kind of melodrama set in this Korean school academy. I'm actually giving it a second chance because when it started, I watched the first couple of episodes and this is a bit boring, and I kind of put it on hold. But then everyone else was saying, oh no, this is really good, you should continue. Then I continued, and then on episode 4, it clicked for me. And now I'm really enjoying it. So this one I also recommend. And Liliana, you will be so proud because I started Nirvana in Fire.
Oh! If you guys don't know,
Really?
Nirvana in Fire is touted as one of the most classic Chinese dramas. It aired all the way back in 2015, and I just reviewed it. It just released last week, actually, my episode with Sarah from K-Drama This. It is a drama that I don't necessarily recommend to everybody. It took me 6 years to gain the courage to actually watch it because it is very politic heavy. There is no romance. It is a revenge story, but it is all court politics. It is like a master chess game of politics, and it is really well done, but it is like your brain works when you're watching it a little bit. So it's one of those where you get to the end and you're like, oh my God, I feel so accomplished that I finished this drama because it's also like 54 episodes long. So yeah. There's a lot to come. It didn't pick up for me until about episode 11 or 12. That's when the story really like started going, but it's well worth a watch, I think, Nirvana in Fire, for sure.
Well, I'm up to, so I started it last night. I'm up to episode 5 now, but I'm loving it. When I tell you, I'm really loving it. I think maybe
it's really
because
good.
We just recently watched Joy of Life.
Joy of Life,
you know?
yeah.
And then the politics.
You're in the rhythm for it.
I'm in the rhythm for this. Exactly. So
yeah.
I think this is really, really good. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's it. That's what I'm watching.
What about you, Nat? What have you been watching?
Well, I have actually not been watching much because I just started a very intense graduate class. I'm in a library sciences program, and this semester I'm taking a materials course, which I've intentionally avoided for a while. And so basically it's like, analyzing 8 to 10 young adult fiction books per week, in addition to the regular readings and papers and everything else.
That's a lot.
Wow.
It's a lot. And I love YA. That's why I'm doing this. And I actually love this professor. I've taken a course of hers before, but the final project is due in 8 weeks, and I'm already stressed out. Like, I have started it, and I still feel like I don't have enough time. So I say all that to say, every moment I'm not working on reading, I feel guilty.
Yeah.
So the only things I've been watching are like buddy watches. So I have a friend who, so I'm in my late 30s and she is in her mid 60s, and she likes K-dramas, but we don't have the same taste. So we were trying to figure out something to watch together. And we finally landed on, Chief of Staff, which is, I mean, as it sounds, like a political drama. It's on Netflix, and it's actually really good. And that's not a genre that I would normally watch. So that's been fun. And then the other drama we're watching together is Designated Survivor 60 Days, which...
yeah.
I mean, I've always known the concept of it, both of the original American show and then this Korean version. And when I tell you that this is so ludicrously executed, like, it's so bad it's good for me. Like, it is one of those things where there's just the amount of suspension of disbelief gets to a threshold where you're just like, well, this is all comedy, even though it's not supposed to be comedy. So I don't know if she's going to be willing to keep watching it, because she was like, this is too bad, but we're definitely going to keep watching at least Chief of Staff together. So, in my guilty pleasure moments where I slip away from my homework, that's what I'm watching.
Okay. Right. Should we get into Lovely Runner? I'm just going to go through the MDL synopsis for it. So on MDL, it reads, in the glitzy realm of stardom, Yoo Sun-jae shines as a top-tier celebrity, captivating the spotlight since his debut. Despite the facade of a perfect life, the demanding nature of the entertainment business has left him utterly exhausted. Im-sul, an ardent admirer, holds an affectionate love for Ryo Sun-jae. A childhood accident derailed her dreams, yet the solace found in Ryo Sun-jae's music on the radio transformed into an unwavering fan. The narrative takes a poignant turn when Im-sul, reeling from the breaking news of Ryo Sun-jae's tragic demise, experiences a miraculous twist of fate. Transported back 15 years into the past, that confronts Ryo Sun-jae in his 19-year-old high school self. Im-sul grapples with the formidable challenge of altering the trajectory of his future, driven by an unyielding determination to avert the impending tragedy. That's a lot of words to describe what this drama is. But this is adapted from the web novel The Best of Tomorrow. It stars the lovely cast of Byun Woo-suk as Ryo Sun-jae. We have Kim Hae-yoon as Im-sul. We have Song Gae-hin as Kim Tae-sung. And we have Lee Song-kyop as Baek In-hyuk. So that is sort of our, main cast. We would have seen Byun Woo-suk in dramas such as Record of Youth, A Strong Girl, Nam Soon, where everybody and their mother swooned over the evil bad guy. I did not finish that drama. I think I got about a couple of episodes in just to see the cameo. And then when I saw the cameo, I was like, do you know what? I just want to see them now. I don't want this drama. I want the original couple. So I did drop that one. And he was also in Flower Crew Joseon Marriage Agency, and Kim Hye-yoon was in dramas such as Extraordinary You, Sky Castle, and Secret Royal Inspector and Joy. Now, this was directed by Yoon Jong-hoo, who has directed Flower of Evil and My Hollow Love, and it was also directed by Kim Tae-yub, who has no other credits on his MDL, and it was the writer was Lee Shi-eun, who's done True Beauty and Top Star Beck. It is a TVN production. For us, it aired internationally on Viki. 16 episodes of 70 minutes, which I will get into that, but I truly appreciate the fact that it is 1 hour, 4 minutes, 1 hour, 5, and they stick around that mark. I cannot tell you how appreciative of the fact that they stuck to their guns on episode length. And
no mini movies.
Absolutely.
Oh my god, no Queen of Tears 1 hour 50-minute episode.
Queen of Tears exhausted me.
Yeah.
Killed me. I'm not going to go. Exactly. I am not going to go into it because I could rant all night. So, but I'm very glad they stuck to their thing. So I did write a few questions down, but we're just basically just go round. We can just go round and just give our very, very quick thoughts about what we thought about the drama as a whole without spoilers, and then we can rate it and move on to spoilers after that. So for me, I went into this, I didn't actually start this as soon as it started airing, because I wasn't, like I said, it wasn't that much on my radar. And then I kept seeing everybody lose their minds on the internet for this drama. And I think I picked it up when it started. So I think I picked it up and it had 3 episodes out at the time. And when I tell you, I sat down and I binged the first 3 episodes and I was like, oh my God, I have not binged that many episodes of a K-drama in one sitting since, Perfect Marriage Revenge all the way back at the end of last year. So I was like, I really, really enjoyed the premise of how the story was set up. I just liked, this felt like a classic K-drama story, but in a 2024 setting, where everything just looks better and the acting was really good throughout. I really enjoyed the screenwriting, itself as well. I felt like their plot was fairly tight for the most part. So there's a couple of quibbles I have with it. But overall, I felt the plot was quite tight. And you know what? It was just enjoyable to see these two completely and utterly and adorably in love with each other constantly over and over and over again. So, it's one of those stories where love does trump it all, and people that are meant to be destined to be together will find their way to each other regardless of what's happening around them. And sometimes that's just nice to see. That's all I want sometimes. So
no epic tragedies.
No. So I was really happy watching it, and I think a lot of us were happy watching it, and that's what, at the end of the day, what we want out of a drama. So that's my very quick, non-spoilery sort of thoughts. So, Naz, what did you sort of think about this drama?
Yeah, I echo everything that you said. I loved how this show knew what it was. It was a rom-com, and I feel like it stuck to that and was just a rom-com through and through. It was genuinely hilarious. Like, I genuinely like laughed out loud so many times while I was watching the show. The couple, like Sunjae and Sol, were just so adorable. Their chemistry was amazing. I'm just so excited to see like Byung Woo-seok and Kim Hye-yoon and like how their careers just continue to rise, because I feel like this is definitely a turning point for both of them. But yeah, the show was just so much fun. It was so much fun. I thought the plot, yes, it's time travel, and we're all tired from time travel from last year, but they made it like really fun and engaging. And it, like you said, relatively tight, because I definitely do have some small issues with the ending.
Yeah.
But overall, it was just fun to watch. Like every week, I enjoyed tuning in. I was like, what's going to happen this week? And I was genuinely surprised a lot of the time. It wasn't like as predictable as I thought it was going to be, which I also appreciated as well. And yeah, it was just a good time. It was just good feels. Like it just gives you everything. Like if you want something just happy and sweet and like gives you like the essence of what a rom-com and K-drama is, I feel like it's the perfect like portrayal of that.
Yeah, I very much agree. And the fact, just a little quick thing on our male lead, he has range, which is something not every actor has. Because in Strong Girl Namsoon, we've seen him play the evil character, and here we've seen him play like one of the sweetest golden retriever characters. And it's just like, do you know what? I appreciate actors that can do both things and do them well and convincingly. So I mean, I enjoyed the whole cast, but he is someone that I am very much looking forward to seeing what else he does, because I think give him a couple more years and I think he will be doing I mean, he's already doing really good work, but I think he will be doing even better work, you know, come another, 5 years or whatever. So what about you, Tanya? What did you think?
Well, I have to agree with everything you guys said. I loved it. I absolutely loved this drama. I think it became like one of my comfort dramas now. It's one of those dramas, I can rewatch several times. And actually, I was rewatching a few episodes in preparation for the podcast today. Today, I was rewatching a few, and I was like, I went back to episode 1, and wow, it hits so differently now that you know what's behind. It really, I think, really a really comfort drama. So I just wanted to say that I started this drama from the start, and mostly for the lead. So Byeon Woo-suk, I have never seen his other dramas, but I watched the 2 of his movies. So the 20th Century Girl, I don't know if you if you watched, and I thought there he was really good. And I also watched a movie he did with Kim Dami, I think last year, called Soulmate. And he was really good.
I haven't watched that. Yeah. I'll have to put that on my list.
Yes, I mean, it's more about female friendship. So it's Kim Dami and another actress I don't remember, and he's like the common interest, romantic interest of both of them. And well, Kim Ye-yoon, I loved her in Extraordinary You. Yeah, and I thought, well, she will do really well. When I saw the premise of the plot, I thought, oh no, she's perfect for this, I think. So so I think like both of you said, the chemistry between the two of them is just amazing, right?
Yeah.
And the plot, I really liked, as you said, Naz, how it was not predictable. So I really, a lot of twists there that caught me by surprise, and I really appreciated that. Yeah, for sure.
I don't think anybody else could play this type of character except Kim Hae-yoon. She's just got this type of acting that makes you adore her, because this type of character on other actresses, I will just be annoyed. I would just be like, oh, why is she acting like this? Why? But when it's Kim Hae-yoon playing it, she has this magical touch to these type of characters where, yes, I can be annoyed at her actions, but I'm not annoyed at her, if that makes sense. So I just really appreciate her in this type of role a lot of the time. Also, the height difference is adorable, and they played it like this director knew exactly how to show off their height difference. So yeah. Now, what did you think of this drama?
I mean, you guys have already said so much of what I was thinking. I think, Liliana was talking about how it has the best of K-dramas, but with a 2024 take. And that's exactly how I felt. I felt like I was watching a 2016 drama. Like 2016 and I actually started watching K-dramas in 2018. But going back to 2016 dramas, there were just so many unbelievable hits of all different stripes. And I really felt like Lovely Runner was the best epitome of what made so many people fall in love with K-dramas.
Mm-hmm.
And it also didn't feel like it was pandering to a Western audience, which I really appreciated, which has been a challenge, in the past couple years in particular. Just thinking about other points that you guys haven't raised yet. I really appreciated, in a non-spoiler way, I appreciated that the danger element that existed in the drama made sense from the beginning. It was introduced from the beginning. It wasn't like this weird, third act twist just to fill additional episodes. So I really, like Naz and Tanya were saying, I think that writing was tight, and being able to see the chemistry of these actors personify. I mean, I shouldn't say we all know, but the writer did say that she wrote Imsul with Kim Hae-yoon in mind, when she was adapting from the web novel. And it's, lots of people say there could have been no Sunjae without Byung Suk, but there absolutely could not have been a Lovely Runner. No Imsul, no Lovely Runner at all without Kim Hae-yoon.
Without her.
And so I just think that the casting was impeccable on all fronts. The two of them as leads did a fantastic job. And it was just an actually fun, joyful watch.
Right.
I
agree.
Made for them.
It was. There's just some roles that you can't see anyone else playing but the actors that played it. And this is one of those dramas where I just can't imagine anyone else playing these roles. I
think it will really go down in history in that way, just like What's Wrong with Secretary Kim, just like Crash Landing on You, just like so many others I could say, Goblin, My Love from the Star, etc. There's certain stories that it's impossible to separate from the original Korean cast, even when you see the adaptations or you read the webtoon. And I think this is going to be one of those where Sunjae and Imsul will always forever be Wasoka and Hae-yoon.
Yeah.
For me,
I totally agree.
The comparison that I go to straight away is Strong Girl Bong Soon, because that couple is classic and epic and everybody loves the couple, even if the drama itself wasn't the best drama out there was a lot of things wrong with that it was my first Korean drama, but I can admit there was a lot of things wrong with that drama, but that couple was just perfection. So that's what I would sort of compare it to. So should we put some ratings and then we can just open up spoilers, because that's the best part, because it's much easier to talk about it when spoilers are on the table. So ratings. 1 teacup means it was something I watched. These are the dramas that aren't good, but something just made me finish. And these are like your 1 to your 5.5 on MDL. 2 teacups is the okay ones. These are dramas I don't really recommend, but they were an okay background watch. And this is like your 6 to 7 on MDL. 3 teacups is the enjoyable ones. Good dramas, they were enjoyable, and I would recommend people who enjoy this genre. And this is like your 7.5 to your 8 on MDL. 4 teacups is the loved ones. These are dramas that I really loved. There might be a couple of problems with it, but overall a really enjoyable drama that I would recommend to a wider audience. And that's like your 8.5 to your 9.5 on MDL. And finally, we have the 5 teacups. This is like the god tier dramas. These are like your rose glass no faults dramas. This rating is reserved for those dramas that you love so much that you were willing to basically just ignore all the problems. You don't care. There's problems, but you don't care. So this is like your 10 on MDL. And you are allowed to do halves. So if you want to do a 0.5 something, that's fine. So for me, I would rate this a 4.5 teacups. And the reason being 5 teacups, because people always ask, why not the 5? I don't call the 5 out that easily. Those are like my all-time favorite dramas, like my Mount Rushmore, as Jess would call them, of dramas that are like, you know, my top dramas. And my top dramas are pretty fixed a lot of the time, and it takes a lot for one to enter that. And like I said, I love this on a lot of aspects, but it just quite doesn't make it into that. So for me, it's a 4.5. What about you, Naz? What would you rate it?
Yeah, I would give it a 4 out of 5 teacups. I really enjoyed this drama. It was just so cute. I think I'll be like thinking about it for a long time. I think it could have been, because like while I was watching it, it was like gonna be in that 5 category because I was just like loving it so much. But I think towards the end of the drama, I did start to get bothered by some things, so took it down to a 4 out of 5. But overall, the watching experience was so great, and I'll have fond memories of Sol and Sunjae, because they're just they're my couple. They're my couple of the year. They're just so cute. So yeah,
they really are. What about you, Tanya? What would you rate it?
Mine would also be 4 out of 5. So on MDL, I rated it as 9.5. So then I guess this falls into 4 teacups. Why? I mean, I absolutely loved it, and mostly because of the leads, but there were a few secondary characters I didn't enjoy so much, and there were maybe a couple of episodes I found less engaging. So that's why the 4 teacups.
What about you now? What would you rate it?
I would also rate it a 4.5 out of 5.
Oh, look at that. We're all in agreement.
Yeah. And for me, it really comes down to, the reason it's not a 5 for me is, like you were saying, Liliana, like it's hard. My 5s are pretty static. It's hard to dethrone them. And they're the ones that, like, as I was watching them and forever after, they emotionally changed who I am as a human. And so this drama does not reach that level for me. But otherwise I love it, right? So I think it's impeccably rewatchable. I think it's going to be fun to talk about for ages to come when we think about the careers of both of these leads. But I don't it hasn't changed me as a person, so I can't give it a 5. And there are absolutely parts of it that I didn't love, but I can give that 0.5 because I'm willing to forgive those things. I think for me, just the joy of having such a solid K-drama that's like giving me all the things I love about K-drama without the things that have become a bit annoying over the past few years. It's what bumped it up to the 4.5 for me.
Right. So that's all our ratings. And guys, listeners, this is your warning. We'll be heading into spoilers now. Like I said, if you've been living under a rock and you haven't watched this, go watch it and come back. Or if you're like me and just love any and all spoilers, keep listening on. But from now on, spoilers will be on the table, which is the best part, because I hate talking about a drama without like spoiling it. It's very difficult for me to not spoil something, because I'm the terrible type of person who will gladly read the last page of a book before deciding whether I want to finish it or not. That type of spoiler. So,
oh my gosh.
Oh, I do that all the time with dramas.
Terrible.
I often watch the last episode. Even sometimes I watch it first, in very rare instances, but there are many times where I'll watch like 2 or 3 episodes and then skip to the last episode to decide whether I can justify continuing. So, I definitely am with you on that, Liliana.
I'm terrible, honestly. Like, people be like, oh, but I don't want to spoil it for you. And I'm like, please do. Like, for some reason, a lot of the time, spoilers will actually encourage me to watch a drama, because it's like, to me, it's not the same as watching it, and it's not the same, you know. So I don't know. My brain just works strange when it comes to spoilers. I am well aware that is not the norm. So I am like so extremely careful when I, you know, talk about anything to not try and spoil it, because for me, nothing is too big of a spoiler. So that's why. But let's jump into spoilers. Should we talk about characters in general? let's start with like characters. And I think it would be fair to start with, you know, our female lead, Im-sul, Kim Hae-yoon. We've already sort of mentioned a little bit about her. Now, from the get-go, I will say I really appreciate the fact that she is believably a high school student. Like, I could believe she was in high school. Because a lot of these dramas, you have this character, you know, this actress or actor playing a high school kid, and I'm like, they're obviously not high school age appropriate. And it just kicks you right out of the drama. I really, really appreciated her acting throughout this whole thing. But one of the things that I will say, I really liked her growth journey as a character. I think we went through, because when we meet her, she's such like a bubbly, fun character, but also, can I just say, when we first meet her, her whole, you know, I love that we got to see a fan of this, you know, K-pop group. And it's like, you could see yourself as the fan. You know, she has her bias, she has her favorite song, and she just wants to get to the concert. So I really, really enjoyed, that aspect of it. So what any other thoughts? Any of you can go. If we don't have any orders here. So what are your thoughts on our female lead and Im-sul as a character?
I loved Im-sul. I loved both from a character perspective and an acting perspective, from Kim Hae-yoon. I loved that you could clearly tell the nuances of who she was at different times, because time travel plots can be very confusing. And when either the actor or the character is the same in every timeline, it's not very helpful. But being able to see the nuances of like how Im-sul was different, her attitude was different, her behavior was different, even sometimes like her body language and movement, I really enjoyed that. I thought that Kim Hae-yoon did such an awesome job. Like you said, being a believable 19-year-old, but also being a believable 34-year-old, frankly.
Yeah.
And that range is a hard thing to pull off.
I wanted to say that one of the scenes that really touched me the most was actually the first scene, you know, when she's in the hospital bed and then she gets that phone call. That whole scene. I mean, that beginning of the drama, really, for me, it was so emotional. So that really shows the range of the actress, I think. And then she does this bubbly character, as you said, you know, such opposite. So that one was really a scene that touched me.
That scene really, really packs an emotional punch, both from from Im-sul as a character. Kim Hae-yoon played it beautifully. And as an audience member watching it, I was like, oh my goodness, I cried right along with her, because you felt like she was coming apart at the seams and she was breaking, because all of a sudden it's like her whole life has changed in seconds. It's like she had these plans and she had this sort of direction that her life was going in, and because of this accident she can no longer walk. She is stuck in a wheelchair, and it's just like at that moment you just feel her despair and the fact that she thinks that's it. She's not going to be able to go, you know, anywhere else. And I really appreciated the fact that they did let her go to that space and to, you know, show that desperation that she had. Because not only did it make, like you said, for Fabulous, a difference in Kim Hae-yoon's acting, where you see this, but then you see the very bubbly character. But I think it makes her story very credible as well, and it makes the audience really sympathize with her as a character. So yeah, that scene was really, really, really good. And actually it led to, they didn't fully tap into it, but I really appreciated that they kind of showed her struggles because of being in a wheelchair. I mean, one of the ones that we see is that she can't get a job because, well, the job that she was going for, because they have no lift and the offices are on a second floor, so she wouldn't physically be able to get to work. And you just kind of think, God, you really feel. And I've heard, I don't know if this is the case, but I've heard that Korea as a whole is not very wheelchair friendly. I mean, I don't know. I've never
because
been.
It's such a mountainous country.
Yeah. So I've never been, so I can't say whether that's the case or not, but that's, a lot of people do comment that it's not very, wheelchair friendly. And I'm really glad that they didn't shy away from that aspect. They showed it, they showcased it, and they said, yeah, this is something that could happen. So yeah. What did you think, Naz, of Im-Seol as a character, Kim Hae-yoon as an actress, anything?
Yeah, I absolutely loved her. I really appreciated that she had this sunny disposition, and she just kind of put a positive spin on like everything that she was going through. For example, even with the situation with going to the job interview and finding out they don't have an elevator, just like, okay, like, and and after that scene, she did break down because at that point she had had quite a day. But like, even like when she went to the concert and like the people wouldn't let her in because she didn't have her ticket, and then she lost her phone and it's snowing and it just, everything was going wrong, but she was just like, okay, like, so you're gonna be okay, like, let's just keep going. And I just loved that about her. And I feel like she made the most of every moment. There's various parts in the show where she kind of reflects back on the fact that she's just thankful that she can stand on her own 2 feet and that she can walk, she can run, she could ride a bike. And I just loved how she didn't take that for granted. And she was just lovable, just like in the general sense of the word, just like really lovable. Like you couldn't help but like love her. And I think Kim Hae-yoon, I feel like it's only her that could play this role. Like she did such a great job. And this is my first time seeing her in a drama. I know I haven't seen Extraordinary You yet, so
I haven't either.
Okay, you're the only one.
Technically, guys, don't come for me. I started it and I dropped it. Okay, it wasn't working for me at the time, so it is what it is. But
same solidarity. I have no issues with admitting that.
Okay,
but I still love her. I still love her.
I
still like very much desire to watch that show, but I just haven't gotten around to it yet. But yeah, I mean, like, she was just such a delight to watch, and I just loved her personality. And she was bubbly, she was fun, she stuck up for herself, she wasn't afraid to like embarrass herself, especially when it came to like when she saw Sunjae when she went back to the past for the first time, and she was just like, I have to save you. She's like, Sunjae, like shameless as all get out. And I just love that.
That pool
I love that
scene
about her. Yeah.
I mean, like Tanya said, from the beginning, this drama grabbed me. But that pool scene where she just ran up to this incredibly hunky wet man who did not theoretically know her. And
right.
Oh, that was so funny. I loved the cameo with the Olympian, but the really funny part was just that she just went all in.
She just, no holds barred. Like, she was like, I'm doing this. So I loved that about her. And she was tenacious. Like, she didn't give up.
Yes, she's like, very tenacious.
Like, she was just like, I'm gonna save this guy. Like, I don't care how many times I have to go back, what I need to do. Like,
I'm doing it.
I loved that. Yeah, and I love that about her.
That's a very good quality in her character. Her determination is just ridiculous. It's like, she is not giving up. And I really, really appreciated that, about her character. It's the fact that, yes, she is this bubbly character. Yes, she is this determined character, but also she does allow herself to break down sometimes. And I really appreciated that, because as the drama moves along, you get to see that she's not like this and she's not strong all the time. And sometimes she does she does get sad and upset and everything. And I really, really appreciated that. One other thing that I really liked, actually, first episode as well, but it's the fact that they don't make fun of you being a K-pop lover, a member of a fandom. I thought they treated it with such respect, because it has sometimes, especially in the West, but even in Asia, but more so in the West, it carries such a stigma, especially if you're older, to be like a K-pop fan. And I really appreciated the fact that she's, you know, in her 30s or whatever she is at that point, and she's doesn't care. She is a K-pop fan. She has her group, and it then goes to show just how powerful that link sometimes between a fan and a group can be, and the music that inspires and uplifts it, because she has had this absolute day from hell. She has, like, and then she gets there and she can't even get in to see the group that she wants to see. But then she's just like, do you know what? This has been a terrible day. And then they start playing and she can hear them, and you just see like almost this weight lifting out of her. And it's just like, that's what their music does. And, you know, I think that was a beautiful way to show it. And I really, really, really appreciated that as a, you know, ARMY and a BTS fan. I really appreciated that aspect of the show, even though it wasn't like a big deal. They didn't make a big deal. It only appeared in like episode 1, and then it wasn't that much of a big deal because they started to change up the future, and he was no longer even in the group by the end. But I just really, really appreciated how that all played out. So yeah. So IMSEOL, great character. We love her. We love Kim Hae-yoon. I love her journey. Now, man of the hour. Everybody and their mother absolutely fell in love with this man. So Yeon Woo-suk, what do we think about Roo Se-ji as a character? Who wants to go first? Anybody can go first.
May I go first?
Go for it, Nah.
I think his character was wonderful. This is true for both leads, but I appreciate the how realistic so much of the story was. You know, it wasn't like extremes of this could only happen in drama land, you know. And so I really appreciated being able to see that, being able to see the growth from awkward teenager hiding a crush to like kind of being standoffish to then totally like not hiding the crush and everything that followed, you know. I think it was really wonderful. And I do think that Byung Woo-suk is like the only person who could have been Sunjae. I also I'm thankful that he got the opportunity to play a role like this. But I think in recent weeks it's been a little tainted for me by the like overall controversy around how the industry has treated him versus how they've treated Kim Hae-yoon. So for me, I struggle to, maybe not struggle to keep those two things in my head, but it's a little bit of cognitive dissonance of, I think he did a great job. I think he made the character wonderful. And I also think he deserves credit for that. And it's also a little not surprising, but hard to see, once again, a man get disproportionate credit for what he did just because he had further to grow than Kim Hae-yoon did, because she started out at such a higher level in terms of her acting.
I mean, ultimately, I think people forget it's not his story, it's hers. It's her story. I mean, I love him and I love his character, but it is her story. If, you know, she hadn't tried so incredibly hard, there wouldn't be him in the future. So I think they're so interlinked and interconnected that you could not have one without the other. I just don't think that's, you know, reasonable to even ask. I think they both did a really, really good job. Now, for Bae Won-suk, I just really appreciated the fact that we got to see some of his duality even here, because you get to see like this cold, you know, on the face of it, this cold, brooding teenager, and then you get to see this, no other word for it other than this whipped guy who will literally fall at her feet. And I adored seeing that in his character. He has a lot of growth to do because his future just keeps constantly changing. And out of everybody, that's you know, why he has more character almost to sink his teeth into, because she keeps doing little things in the past that just completely change his character in the future. And it means that Bae Won-suk can go down these different paths and almost play different characters within the same role. So I really appreciated his acting. I think he is ridiculously swoony on screen. He's, you know, intense when he has to be. And I feel like he's one of those actors that just captivates you through the screen. And it's just like one of those actors that basically is like, I have your full attention and I'm going to keep your full attention for however long I'm on screen. So I really liked his character. I think I appreciated that we got to see him, you know, at one of his lowest of lows right at the end, because you have to be in such a dark place to end up committing suicide. You know, so, and we only touch on that very, very briefly in episode 1 because that's how the whole story sort of kicks off. But yeah, I really liked his character. I think Bae Won-suk did a wonderful job out of it. So yeah. What did you think, Naz?
Yeah, well, Chari, the way that you ended there, you said that he took his own life, but did he take his own life? That's something that
That's a good question.
I'm not convinced. I don't, well, we can talk about that later, but, I think that, Sunjae, oh my gosh, I just so appreciated his character because he was obsessed with Seoul in the best way. Like, he was down bad for her. And I just loved it. Like, I just loved seeing a guy that was just so in love, like, from the beginning. And he was just devoted and just so lovely and so swoony. There was none of this angst and bickering and all this stuff. Like, it was just so sweet and tender. And I just really loved it. And I thought Byung Woo-seok did such an incredible job portraying this character. Like, to your point, Liliana, that, you know, has so many layers because we're seeing these different versions of him. And versions of him that haven't experienced things that other versions of him have. And so I think it showed a lot of range. And even towards the end of the show, like, we see him, like, really, like, dig deep. So, like, I'm really proud of him. And, like, this is his first, like, lead role in a drama. And, like, I'm just really excited to see, like, what else he does. And I think that's why he kind of got so much attention. Because it's like, wow, it's his first lead role. And he did such a great job. And to your point now, like, I totally get, like, how it could kind of feel annoying because you're just like, okay, well, like, Kim Ye-yoon did a good job too, but which she did an incredible job. And I think it's honestly the show is going to catapult both of them, like, because like Liliana said, like, that you can't have one without the other. I think like the combination of these two particular actors was just kind of like the winning combination. But yeah, I really enjoyed his portrayal of this character, and I just, oh my gosh, I just loved how much he loved her. It was just so wonderful to watch.
So adorable.
If it's okay, Naz, I'm actually going to disagree with you on one of the points you just made, though, because my critique of, like, how people have received this role in terms of Kim Hae-yoon or this drama is actually, well, it's certainly not about international fans. It's about what she has said in interviews about how the industry has treated her. And considering, I can only imagine she's being circumspect in what she says in interviews. So considering what she has been willing to say publicly, to me, that means it must have been really hard for her. And so I actually, again, I think that Byung Woo-seok deserves all the credit he's getting. And also the reason I think it's disproportionate and unfair is, here's an example. She has not been invited to any variety shows for this role. And I actually watch a lot of variety shows, and I love Running Man. Well, actually, let me reframe that. I still watch Running Man. I have a Cocoa subscription just for Running Man. And I remember the episode where Woo-seok came on. I just thought it was so weird that it was only him, and I just assumed, oh, she must have had a scheduling conflict. And at the time, I wasn't thinking about it, but Running Man is the kind of show where if there's a scheduling conflict, they change their schedule. Like, they film twice a week so they can make things work. The fact that they did not invite her, even though she's been on the show before, and a lot of other industry slights like that, You know, she said she hadn't received any love calls, for instance. Like, for her to say out loud, nobody has called me to say I'm doing a good job. You can only imagine how she was actually feeling, you know?
Goodness.
And so
yeah.
there's a lot of other things I think in the real world that are not great about how fans were like trying to push them to demonstrate a relationship and whatever. But I think for me, they both did such a phenomenal job.
Yeah.
And it is sad to hear that they are receiving different professional recognition for it in their own fields. But the one thing I will say is it was announced earlier today that she is going to have a small fan meet tour. So a date in Seoul, 2 in Japan, which is great. And it's a great start. And you know, Byung Woo-suk has been on his fan meet tour almost since the show started. So even that is like, you know, I hate to compare it, but at the end of the day, I do hope that we see more professional recognition for her. And I fear from the things that we know from reputable media, like she hasn't been offered any new roles because of this. Her next drama is something that she already had on the docket since 2022, things like that. It makes me sad for the industry.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't have that context at all. So thank you so much for sharing that, because I had no idea at all about that.
No, I wasn't aware of any of that either. And to be fair, I'm also a little bit sad, and I wonder how hard her agency is fighting for her, in a sense.
Right.
Well, so that's part of the complication, is that she's like nearing the end of a contract with one and starting with another. And so part of it is the people who should be promoting and supporting her are not.
But invested.
But it's also, you know, multifaceted, multi-directional, because regardless, like if a variety show says we want your actor, people are going to make it happen, whether she's on her way in or on her way out, you know? So I think the contract timing made an unfortunate situation even more difficult in terms of the people who should have been promoting her not promoting her, but they also didn't really have the most visible opportunities to promote her anyway. They weren't even given those opportunities.
Yeah.
That is very sad.
Right. It is. Tanya, what did you think of our male lead?
What else can I say?
And his character.
Well, like all of you, I loved the character. No, I mean, I think Woo-suk really did a wonderful job with Sanjay. I also cannot imagine anyone else playing him now. I mean, I know, I think I heard that several actors were offered this role before and they turned it down. So I'm really glad Woo-suk then got this opportunity. Yeah. I was reading an interview with the screenwriter a couple of days ago, and she said something very interesting, that she was inspired to create Sanjay based on the typical second male lead, you know, the one that has this unrequited love, that is, and that she wanted to bring this type of character as the male lead.
The male lead.
So interesting.
I thought that was very interesting. Yeah.
That is very interesting, and also I feel like that's very accurate. Actually, now that you've said it, he is your typical best friend second male lead that never gets the girl.
Yep.
I really appreciate, and I think a lot of the time stories complicate themselves by thinking that viewers just won't consume a straight up romance with, you know, no, we're just a nice guy. But I think we are very much over the cold, mean guy. I mean, there's a time and place for those dramas too. But nowadays, I think people just want really good romance stories told well. And I think at its core, that's what this drama is. And the fact that we have somebody who is like, I don't use the term lightly, the greenest of green flags. There's like that meme where they say he's not a green flag, he's a whole damn forest. That's exactly what he is. You know, that is exactly what Sanjay is as a character. So I just appreciate that, you know, we get to see, and we have been seeing a lot more dramas with that type of male lead as, you know, a male lead. So I really, really appreciate it. Should we just talk a little bit about the secondary cast? Because for me, I'm not gonna lie, some of my quibbles come from the secondary cast. I couldn't really care less about the sister and the, you know, brother romance.
The best friend,
Yeah.
I mean,
they felt like a filler to me. They felt, especially in the later episodes,
yes,
I was just
yes.
like,
when it was
they're
insta-love.
just, yeah. They're just filling time.
Well,
they are too comedic. So
I will say the only exception to that for me was the scene where they were discovered by Sanjay and Insol. It was too long, but it was funny. That whole chasing around the house and stun gun, whatever. Again, too much time, but I did find it funny. I think that everyone did a good job with what they were given. And also we didn't need that much. But it was kind of nice to see, you know, everyone's favorite Chingu who used to have no Chingu, you know.
Yeah, that is true.
The best friend. So I think it was kind of nice to see Sohyeon in that regard. But if not for that context, frankly, if I didn't have the context of comparing her in a prior role, I would not have enjoyed her character at all. I would have been quite with her character.
I agree.
Yeah.
What about you, Naz?
The brother, I couldn't stand him. He was so obnoxious. And I really enjoyed his character. That same actor was in Dr. Cha. And I liked him in that show, but his portrayal of this character was just like, every time he was on screen, I was like, I can't with this guy. And then I feel like the best friend was very much like a non-factor. Like she was like, we weren't able to really see her and Sol's relationship. She didn't really feel like a bestie. She just felt, I don't know. It was weird the way that they handled her character. And then them as a couple, I was not into it at all. I did not care at all. The only scene that I genuinely enjoyed with them too was when it was one of the times that Sol was back in 2023 and she's in the delivery room with her best friend and her brother. Yes. And she's like, how could you seduce my best friend? And she was like, how could you have my brother's baby? Like, and then she discovered it was their second baby. And she was like, oh my gosh, like what is going on? That was like the only scene that I genuinely was like, oh, this is funny. But like other than that, like anything that pertained to the both of them, I was just like very much uninterested. I did not like them at all. Like I was like, please get them away. Like I just was not interested at all.
So just before we get on, Naz is going to have to head off soon. So Naz, please, any thoughts that you really, really want to say, we'll give you the floor and you can spill it all out before you head out.
Oh my gosh. First of all, thank you so much, Liliana, for having me.
You're welcome.
I'm so grateful. I'm so sad I have to leave early. I'm so sorry. But I think I love this show. Okay. I'm prefacing this with saying that I adore this show. But I think what I was referring to in the beginning when I was talking about I just couldn't give it the 5 because of these things. There were 3 things that really drove me crazy. First of all, was Sanjay killed or did he actually jump? I feel like we're led to believe that there was more to that story, but we never get an answer to that. There was someone knocking on the door, like there was all this stuff going on and we never get an answer to that. And I thought that was like completely unacceptable. I was like, how could you not answer this question at the end of the show? Also, our serial killer is just some random dude. Like, he's some random dude. There's no connection. There's nothing. And I'm like, oh, so you mean to tell me he's just some random guy? I was like, why is he so pressed? Like, why is he getting on trains and planes and all these things to get to Seoul? He's some random dude. I just didn't understand that part. And then the final thing is Puffercoat Girl. So Puffercoat Girl we find is like this stalker,
I'm so glad
right?
I had myself muted right now because that was hilarious.
No, this Puffercoat Girl, is like, she's a stalker. She's Sanjay's stalker. She's trying to get into Sanjay's apartment. I'm like, this girl has to like have some sort of significance. Maybe she's from the future and she's traveling through time. There has to be something more to her character because she keeps popping up I don't understand. She's some random girl. And I'm like, what was the point of this? Like, why? I didn't understand it. I was like, why did you do all these like red herrings only for her to like not matter at all? So yeah, those are like my 3 quibbles that I was just like those are holes I felt like at the bare minimum those should have been filled and they just weren't filled. And I was like, I can't give the 5 because this is really bothering me, but I love the show. It's just those things I was just like, like I just couldn't deal with it.
I completely agree. I really, really do. With all those 3 points. Naz, thank you so much for jumping on with us. It's always a pleasure to have you around, and we'll definitely have you on again for another episode, I'm sure.
Yes, please do. And I'll look forward to hearing your review on The Double because I will be watching. So I'm excited.
So excited.
Thank you all so much.
Naz.
Bye, Na. Bye, Tanya.
Bye.
So Naz had to shoot off, but, you know, we were talking about secondary characters. We've already said we don't really like the best friend and the sister. I will just say I felt like Kim Tae-sung as a character felt way more like a best friend to Im-sul than her actual best friend. But let's talk about some secondary characters that we did enjoy. Now, would you like to sort of pick any that you enjoyed as a secondary character?
Sure. I would say that Sunjae's dad was my favorite of the secondary characters. So played by Kim Won-hae. And he, as an actor, you know, is often cast in these comedic roles. The first time I can really remember seeing him that way was in Strong Girl Do Bong-soon. And that, first of all, he played 2 different characters, but they were both over the top in ways that I found overbearing.
Yeah.
So I like seeing him in a role like this where there's still opportunity for the range of slapstick and humor and like, you know, falling down because he thinks Sunjae is a ghost when he shows up with the mask, the face mask and whatever. He's great at that, but he's just, at the end of the day, he's a good dad. And I think, Liliana, you were saying this earlier, it's so rare to see a K-drama where all the parents are good parents. You know?
So rare.
And so, not that Im-sul's mom wasn't great, but I think, how do I say this? I feel like her character peaked too soon because of the impact of that hospital scene. For me, there was nothing that she could have done that was more affecting than that hospital scene. So it was really great. But with Sunjae's dad, his character actually like grew and developed over time. So he was my favorite of the secondary characters.
For me, I really, really loved Jung Mal-jae, so Im-sul's grandma. I just think she's such a special character. I feel like she knows so much more than she lets on. And there's a specific scene where Im-sul kind of comes home, and I can't remember whether it's in the future. I think it's in the future. But she comes home and her grandma is present and remembers everything for like a short amount of time. And I adored that scene so much. And she says something, and I'm so sad that I took no notes on this, but her quote in that scene is really good because she says something about how, your mind may forget, but your soul doesn't. And I'm just like, that's such a beautiful line, especially when it comes to like the disease that she has. It's such an unforgiving and sad disease for a person to forget everybody around them. And it's almost like harder on the people surrounding that person rather than on that person, because the person who is sick, like to them, they don't remember, like they don't realize what they've lost. Whereas the people around them all realize like what they've lost. So I feel like that scene was so impactful to me. And the fact that it is the grandma that, keeps pushing them together almost and keeps bringing them together. It's almost like she's the fate that is like trying to, get these two on the right path. So for me, I really, really adored the grandma as a character. What about you, Tanya? What's a secondary character that you really enjoyed?
Well, the grandma was also one of my favorites, and especially you mentioned that scene. That scene was great when when Imsol came back to the present, but also that scene at the end when she goes and gives a hug to Sanjay. I don't know if you remember.
Yes.
That scene was also so emotional.
Yes, I also didn't take notes, but I agree with you, Tanya. That scene was so powerful. And I didn't actually watch a lot of behind the scenes for this drama, but I did see that in that particular scene, as it was written, Sanjay wasn't crying, but because of how well, I want to say her name is Sang Byung-suk, played that role, it was just like impossible for Byung-suk to not cry, and so the director like kind of took advantage of that. So I happened to see that behind the scenes before I actually got to that episode, and so watching it, I could just it made it feel even more powerful that like her words were so touching and her acting was so good that even her colleague facing her just broke down into tears.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, there's something to be said about having older cast on, a drama, experienced cast, what you would call a veteran actor or actress. And I feel like nowadays, unfortunately, they don't get main roles, they get side roles. But they are so key and so important to a lot of stories because, yes, the younger generation is very talented, but they learn so much from these people just from being on set with them and just learning how they work. So yeah, I adored it. I adored her character. I think she was a beautiful, brilliant character. So yeah, I think out of the secondary cast, she was definitely my favorite.
My other favorite is Song. I think we didn't speak much about him. I mean, you mentioned him, but I think he was a fantastic second lead, really. I mean, I the only reason why I didn't get, second lead syndrome, I think because Sanjay was so well portrayed by Woo-suk. Otherwise, I think I would have, like in True Beauty, I did. So it's from the same screenwriter, I think, right? And
it is.
I saw so much of how was it called? Han So-jun in Taesung. I think they were quite similar characters. So he was one of my favorites.
I really, really enjoyed his character as well. I liked it how he kind of started off with this like almost a little bit of annoying as a character, but then he grew and grew, and I adored the fact that he just unequivocally believed Imsol. No matter what Imsol kind of threw at him, he believed her. And the fact that he was the one putting things together, he was so much smarter than what people gave him credit for. He truly made for a wonderful cop in the future. If it wasn't for his character, I think a lot of the story wouldn't necessarily go as it's meant to, because he does a lot of the time. I mean, he kind of pushes Sanjay to be like, how can you not see that she likes you? Like, they have this conversation, and it's like, dude, how do you not see it? So I think he played a really, really good character. Ultimately, I think he played such a good friend. And like I said, I think he is Imsol's like best friend, and not necessarily the girlfriend, but her girl best friend, because we don't really see a lot of her. I don't connect that. It's not like Imsol is running to her for comfort or anything. She's running to Taesung a lot of the time to get that comfort and that what's the word I'm looking for? That outside perspective. So I think his character was really good as well. I really, really, really enjoyed him there as well. Should we have a little chat about scenes that we enjoyed? For me, any scene that has an umbrella, I was sold, because we have a running theme of umbrellas in this drama.
Oh my gosh.
And
it was done
beautiful
so well. Oh my gosh. I just interrupted you, so I have to apologize, but that's how much
No,
I agree with you.
You're fine. To
Um,
me, it's just like, it's such a key point to the story. They meet again under umbrella. He falls in love with her because, you know, she's under this umbrella. It's just such a beautiful theme, and I adored the fact that it was brought up in episode 1, and it's a theme that carried all the way through to the last episode. It's so beautifully interwoven into the story. I don't think I'll be able to look at a yellow umbrella and not think of this couple.
Go
For it now.
When you say that, so first of all, I wholeheartly agree with you. You know, I tend to watch dramas with this running lens of what are the tropes, and how are they being subverted or inverted or just reappearing, etc. And I mean, there's lots of things that the screenwriter did amazingly in this story, but one that I really appreciate is being able to take something like an umbrella scene and still make it feel different. And the way that they used the color of the umbrellas at different points in their life in ways that reflected their emotions and attitudes at that point in their life, and how dark or not the things they were going through, the way that we saw the umbrella usage in the snow and the rain. And I don't want to overstate this, but I kind of feel like I can't really remember any other memorable umbrella scene in the snow. It's not like it never happens, but I just can't remember one. And so this might become, for me, my most iconic snow umbrella scene. And I don't know if either of you watched My Lovely Boxer last year. There were a lot of issues with that drama, but it had one of the most amazing uses of like a downpour yellow umbrella scene I've ever seen. And I, if you had asked me up till March, what was the best use of a yellow umbrella or any color umbrella in a drama? I don't think it was the most popular. It's clearly not the most well-known, but for me, I would have said My Lovely Boxer. And now that has been fully supplanted by the umbrellas in Lovely Runner. Yes.
Yeah, I think it's done just beautifully. It's imagery at its best. It's gone up there with one of my favorites. I mean, my all-time favorite rain umbrella scene comes from Our Beloved Summer, episode 11. It is so beautifully done. That is like my all-time, at least for Korean dramas. It tends to be a bigger thing in Korean dramas than it is in Chinese dramas. Chinese dramas don't really do the whole umbrella thing. I think it's more of a classic Korean trope, so to speak. And Our Beloved Summer, episode 11, is still my all-time favorite scene. It's such an impactful scene, but this one has definitely joined it up there. It's not quite surpassed it, but it's joined it up there. I think it's just very slightly below that one as one of my favorite imagery uses, because I think with this one, that one is just one scene, whereas this one, the umbrella is almost a character in of itself in the show. So yeah, to me, any of the umbrella scenes, I loved it. The fact that first time we meet it, it's him with the black umbrella over the snow for her, and then they meet again and it's her with the umbrella over him, and it's just beautifully connected. And like you said, different color umbrellas for the different points of life that they're in. Very
the blue yellow umbrella one at school.
Yeah, or the yellow one when he first meets her and she's so bubbly and so fun and so full of life. So I loved it. Tanya, any scenes that pop into your mind straight away?
Okay, other than the umbrella scenes, That I love were the cherry blossoms. I think they were
Oh,
also
yes.
with the cherry blossoms. Oh, I love those. I think in terms of cinematography, they were so beautiful, really.
Mm-hmm.
So filmed, and I love those, the cherry blossoms. Yeah. And also I think one of the scenes that I enjoyed the most was when we had the first flashback from Sanjay. So I think it's the umbrella, the yellow umbrella scene.
Mm-hmm,
But
mm-hmm.
for me, it was so memorable because it caught me by surprise. I was not expecting it. I was like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
That's one of my favorites.
Yeah, it's just another part again where the umbrellas sort of triggers him to start, because obviously at that point, she's made sure that he doesn't remember anything. They never met. She, twisted the future to the point where they simply just never met. And I loved the fact that this simple blooming umbrella triggered a memory almost, and then he starts to slowly remember. So yeah, so any, of the umbrella scenes, and then just, it's beautifully done how he then starts to sort of have all of his memories come back. But any scenes that jump out at you, Na?
Well, obviously also love the umbrella scenes. I think, to Tanya's point, actually often, flower scenes and cherry blossom scenes in particular, I can appreciate their impact narratively, but they often annoy me because I am a weirdo who hates flowers, which I rarely tell people. But I really dislike flowers. So sometimes just the overkill of the petals fluttering everywhere annoys me. So hearing you say, Tanya, that actually reminds me that in this drama, it did not annoy me. I really, other than some of the quibbles we talked about with the secondary characters, there was nothing in this drama that I could not stand. It seems so rewatchable to me, and I really loved it, even the flower scenes. But I would say another thing that I found in terms of scenes that was just, I don't even quite know how to explain it, but a lot of K-dramas end with a wedding, and that can go lots of different ways. But I don't really remember one other than I don't really remember one where it's just the couple. And of course, it's because it's a premonition or flash forward or whatever you call it, but I just thought that was so sweet and intimate, and such a nice way to cap off their relationship when we see them both have the vision of the future where in that church it's just the two of them. So yeah, I feel like I'm not doing a great job of describing it, but I loved that scene so much.
Yeah. I think, we could literally be here all night talking about favorite scenes and quotes and whatnot. So I don't think we'll push it too much further. But so I think we'll just go on to just talk about very briefly about things that we think could have been done better, and then we can sort of just do last thoughts and wrap it up. Now, for me, I absolutely and totally agree with Naz on everything she said before she left. The serial killer to me was something that should have been tidier. There could have at least been a reason, because it just seems silly that he keeps chasing Imsul. He seems like he's obsessed with her, but why? There's just no explanation there. So to me, I completely agree. That's something that needed to be tidier as a whole. Yes. I feel like he was used as a prop, a means to an end. And that's something I don't tend to enjoy when when screenwriters use characters as a means to an end and as just a prop, because there's better ways to go around that. So to me, that's definitely something that could have been done better.
I agree with what you just said about not using people as props. And it's so interesting to hear that both you and Naz felt that way, because I didn't see it that way in this drama.
Mm.
And honestly, I respect both of your opinions so much that it's making me wonder, like, what was I doing when I was watching those episodes that it didn't bother me? But like, truly, normally I am anti-serial killer for lots of reasons. It takes me out of the story right away. I mean, probably one of the biggest reasons is that probably the first one I saw was that creepy kidnapper in Strong Girl, Do Bong-soon. And so that one was so...
Oh, yeah, he was
so creepy that it, talk about K-drama trauma, you know? So, but I do agree with you. Often the serial killer is like thrown in and shoved in. And for some reason, it didn't feel like that to me in this. And maybe it's because I did assume from the beginning, despite how the promos of the drama were framed, I just assumed somebody pushed Sunjae in the hotel. And so I was waiting for whatever connection there. And I guess, to me, the only quote unquote justification he needed for his obsession with Seoul is that she got away. Right. And I think it was just showing his character of like, he did not let anybody get away. And so once she got away and once, you know, Sunjae witnessed him as the culprit, he was just like, you know, can't ruin my perfect track record. Anyway, it's so interesting to hear you guys say that. And I kind of want to rewatch with this lens now because the serial killer did not bother me that much. The Say song was definitely weird, but I didn't remember it until you guys said it.
Until Naz brought it up. Yeah, I don't know. It didn't bother me that there was a serial killer. That is not what bothered me.
No, the execution.
It's the execution of it.
Yeah.
Because there was no explanation and no why. Why was it that in every single storyline, this serial killer came for her? Like, there was no reason, because there was a couple of storylines where she didn't even meet him. Like, but yet he was always there.
You know what?
To kind of kill her.
I didn't realize that until just now. You're saying that, and I think this is maybe my ability to interpret time travel stories is lower than everybody else's because I did not watch most of them last year. Now that you say that, I see why it bothers you. Because to me, I was thinking that no matter what the timeline, she met him in the taxi and that something happened at the reservoir, even though it was a different something each time. But now that I hear you say that totally, I can see why that would make the execution really shaky.
So yeah, that's my only thing about the serial killer. It's the fact that I don't think it was executed well enough. So yeah, that was my main quibble, was the use of the so I would have liked to have seen a little bit more of his background. I feel like that would have been more interesting than the filler that they put in there, because realistically speaking, you could have done with this being 12, 14 episodes, and it would have been a tighter plot, in my opinion. I think 16 would have been fine. 16 is fine, but they did do, I think about episode 13, 14, I started to drift a little bit, and I was like, oh, I feel like this is getting a bit draggy in places. We're just doing the same things, expecting different outcomes. So yeah, that was my thing. Two main things. Serial killer needed a better backstory that should have been something that happens every single time, no matter how hard she tries to get away from it. That happens every single time to trigger the serial killer to come in, if that makes sense. And then that's all I needed. Like 10 minutes of just, explaining and showing his background, and I would have been happy. And then less time with the brother and sister-in-law, because I couldn't.
And the MT and all the romance with the other college students that we didn't actually care about.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, what about you, Tanya?
Yeah, I agree with you both about the serial killer. But I actually read in the interview with the screenwriter that she did it intentionally. So she intentionally did not give him a background.
Oh.
I don't want to get into that detail because she created him as you said, as a plot device to keep
Mm.
Faith and Sol apart, basically. That was his
Mm.
role. Yeah. So
Hearing
Yeah.
you say that makes me wonder what it was like in the original web novel.
Yeah,
True.
yeah. I do wonder.
So, okay, I don't think we agree with her, but apparently it was intentional. So,
Well, there you go. I guess it just proves what I was saying, that he was literally used as a plot device. And like I said, to me, that is careless screenwriting, because there is smarter ways to do it and to integrate it into the writing, that it just feels flawless. And he could have still been used as a plot device, but we still need to know why he keeps coming after her. Like, it makes no sense. And I feel like that brings me out of the story, because my brain starts functioning at that point, and I'm just like, but why? It makes no sense. It doesn't. I mean, this woman did time traveling really well. I mean, that's the hardest part of this story. So yeah, I think that is my biggest quibble with this. But that, I feel like that and a couple of pacing issues in that like 13, 14 episode part was probably what shrunk the what took my rating down ultimately. So yeah. Right. Anything else, guys? Have you got anything else you would like to add at all? Any last thoughts? Any, just anything else you'd like to throw in there?
So this is quite disconnected from everything we've actually been talking about, but just one note on the OST. I personally think that the music was flawless for the drama, and whether it was Eclipse or anything else. But I think I'm in the minority on this based off what I'm seeing online. I thought the music was perfect, and I also will never remember it, to be clear. So to me, and Vicky actually, oh no, I think it was Netflix, a few hours ago had a post of like songs you recognize with the first note, right? And to me, none of the songs are songs I would recognize with the first note. And actually, it was driving me crazy because that main song about the rain that Sunjay sings, I could have sworn it sounded like another drama. And when I tell you, I spent hours that this was before the semester started, or the summer semester. I spent hours on going through my my iTunes, my Spotify, and YouTube, trying to figure out which drama it reminded me of. And I honestly was like, my music theory professor would be so ashamed of me, because I was like, what is it about it? Is it the chord progression? Something is happening where I swear this song sounds so familiar, and it'll probably bother me to the day that I die unless I happen to rewatch whatever drama it is that's triggering this. So anyway, I thought the music was great, and also I personally do not find it memorable. So it's the kind of thing that when I listen to it, I hum it all day. But if you ask me right now how any of those songs start, I would not remember, versus like Goblin, where I can like, there's at least 2 or 3 songs, or It's Okay to Not Be Okay. Like I think there's so many dramas where the OST still doesn't overwhelm the drama. And I guess maybe that's part of what for me kept it from being a 5. Like, as much as I enjoyed it, I didn't have that heart-wrenching connection, as I was saying. And the music is an example of why I didn't. The fact that I thoroughly enjoyed it and also cannot remember it, it's just like, that's not a 5 for me.
Yeah. No, I agree. But to be fair, to me anyways, I tend to remember Chinese OSTs way more than I do Korean drama OSTs. And it's not because I watch, Chinese dramas more. It's because the way they are structured, they tend to use they tend to have less songs, but use them more often, and they tend to really put these songs with really impactful scenes. So it kind of like almost connects the emotions with it. Just, I don't know. They just use them differently in Chinese dramas. But I would agree. I really enjoyed the OST. But if, you were to play a couple of notes, I probably wouldn't recognize it straight away. So yeah.
Not to detour too much, but what you just said, Liliana, is so interesting because obviously I'm a relative novice when it comes to Chinese dramas, but one thing I appreciate in Chinese dramas is it is far more common for the lyrics of the OST to be literally on screen, which means they end up being translated. And so I think that reinforces the emotional connection because while you are watching, you're also understanding the lyrics relative to the story. Whereas in K-dramas, it's like so rare, even with Viki, for anybody to subtitle the music. And so if the music doesn't stand on its own to you and build its own connection for you to the story, you don't have that reinforcement that you have in Chinese dramas.
Yeah.
Okay. If I can say something, I disagree with both of you with this OST because I find it very memorable. And I was actually the song, it's Spring Snow by 10 Centimeters.
Yes.
I'm waiting for the day when it would be released on Spotify. I can tell you, I recognized it from the first moment. So yeah. So for me, it was the opposite. I really enjoyed this OST, and maybe because I listened to it so much on repeat by now, I can recognize the songs very easily. So I think
I do think I'm in the minority. I think a lot of people would agree with you.
Yeah, but then again, like I said, for me personally, it's very, very rare that K-drama OSTs stick. So, I mean, the only ones that really stick, and it's because they tend to have a very different vibe, is anything by Punch. I adore them, and anything that they tend to stick because they do such different kind of music. So yeah, and to be fair, I haven't really gone and Spotify'd this OST and sort of listened to it yet. So yeah, but I tend to gravitate more towards Chinese dramas. Probably what you would expect out of tea and soju anyways, but I do tend to gravitate towards Chinese drama OSTs. But not to take away from the fact that this drama did have a really, really nice OST, including I really appreciated the fact that they even created a Spotify page for, Eclipse and everything. So I thought that was really, really a great marketing part, on their part as well. So yeah. Has anybody got any last thoughts? Because I'm done. I think I've said what I needed to say. I loved this drama. Hopefully K-dramas can give us some more not the same story, guys, but just, some more goodness like this one. I pray to the K-drama gods out there to give us some good ones. Thank you guys so much both for coming on. I really appreciate it. I think it'll be a very fun episode to listen back to. So yeah, I think that's it.
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. Like I said, I will link everybody's socials out in the episode notes. Thank you guys. If you're still listening at this point, thank you so much for sticking to the end. I hope you guys have enjoyed it, and I shall catch you next time. Bye.